say. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was going to say. This fight, I think, you know, that Arturo was a lot sharper in this fight. You know, and of course you were
Yeah.
sharp, and you guys were pinpointing it, man. I
Right.
mean, the punches were crisp, and the timing was unbelievable. Just better dance partners, in my opinion. I'm not taking anything away from what Mickey and Arturo did, but as far as this fight, particularly dance partners, was unbelievable.
Hmm.
It was right up there, man.
That's the first time I ever heard somebody say that, us being dance partners.
You get what I mean, man.
Yeah,
Styles
I
make
know.
fights.
Yeah, definitely. And that
All right,
style,
so I
Yeah,
got us live on YouTube now, so we
yeah,
can
it
I'll
was
monitor
something,
the questions or whatever.
man. Yeah.
So we're okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of share my screen here. I want to make sure you guys can see everything, and then we'll kind of start.
that's crazy. I gotta replay the fight that I fought.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, but you can kind of talk us through it and let us know what you were thinking, when you saw it and whatnot.
And that'd be the first. This would be the first time. Hopefully, the last.
Okay, let's see if I can get everything here. All right, so now can you all see it?
It ain't come up on my joint yet.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna bring it up here. You can see my screen though, right?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, good. You can't see my YouTube screen though?
I can see the YouTube screen now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna bring this up here. Let's see here, full fight. I think this would be a good one to use.
This Buds for You presents the
All right, so can you guys see it?
Boxing
Yeah.
After Dark evening, 10 rounds, lightweights. Ring officials assigned by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board. Your judges at ringside are from Ardsley, New York.
So what I'm going to do is turn down the sound a little
Lathan,
bit so we can kind of talk over it.
Leahy, and from Cedar Grove, New Jersey, Steve Weisfeld.
So maybe, Ivan, you could talk about kind of how the fight came about.
Newark, New Jersey,
Well, it was crazy. We had just had a fight about a month and a half before that, fought in Philly. And I had I think it was like a fourth or fifth round stoppage. But the thing was, I suffered a cut in the fight. It wasn't a bad cut. My cut man at the time, down tabs, told me if I had put butterflies on it, it would close the cut up. So I got right back in the gym. I started training. So what happened? My manager, he wasn't trying to get me a fight because we were signed to main event at the time, and we couldn't get a fight. They couldn't get a fight from me, none at all. Um, Angel Man Freddie had just lost. I think he had just lost to Floyd Mayweather.
Mayweather.
Right, and Daddy was sitting around doing nothing, and I wasn't doing nothing. So I wanted to fight with anybody at the time. It didn't matter to me because I was just coming off a win. So what happened? They was having a fight in Philly, and the fighter was Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley came to Philly to fight, and I went down to the press conference, and me and Shane Mosley had it at the press conference. We was about to start at the press conference. So what they did, the guy that they was gonna have Shane fight, they took him off the card and put me on the card. And I was like, that's great. I was like, man, Shane don't know what he in for. I'm gonna beat him up real bad. But what happened was I forgot at the time that I still had that cut. So I was already in the gym. I just boosted up the training. Went to the gym, started training, and the cut reopened. And when the cut reopened, I was out of the fight with Shane Mosley. And I was just really mad. We couldn't get a fight. So I told my manager to get me a fight. And he kept saying, "Can't give me a fight, can't give me a fight." But then one night he called me. I had just got back from the gym. I was in the house. He said, "I got a fight for you, Ivan." But I was asleep when he called me. So I told him to call me back in like 10 minutes when I get myself up and everything. So when he called me back, he said, "I got a fight for you." He said he didn't at the time say it was a great fight. He just said he had a fight for me. So at that time, back then, it was phone. So he was like, "You gonna fight Arturo Gatti?" What? I looked at my phone like, "Say what? I'm gonna fight who?" He was like, "Arturo Gatti." I was like, "All right, well, let's have it." And we made the fight, man. We was just ready, man. We did everything we had to do. We set up camp, went to camp, and got ready for the fight with Gary.
Now, how soon in the first round did you know that it was probably going to be like this?
Well, actually, what happened? The lead up to this fight with Gaddy, when we went to the press conference in New York, um, you know how they always give the fighters their time to talk. So they gave me the mic first. So I told the press, I was just like, "Look, it's a great fight. I'm glad to be in the ring with Arturo Gatti, but Arturo Gatti is not going to beat me." So they messed around and gave Arturo Gatti the mic. He goes up and say, "Ivan Robinson is a good fighter, but I'm gonna knock him out, and he can't beat me because he won't do nothing but bring knives to a gunfight." So to be honest with you, I'll never forget this. The day I lived, I had my right hand man with me, my best friend, Rennie with me. We riding back home. I said, "Rennie," I said, "What did Daddy mean about guns and knives?" He was like, "Ivan, you know what? You my man, I love you, but you got to be the dumbest guy in the world." I like, "What you mean?" He was like, "Man, Daddy ain't saying nothing, but you ain't gonna do nothing but cut him up. You don't punch hard enough for him." I kept that in the whole camp, man. I just trained so hard for that fight. So in the first round, prior to going to the ring, you'll notice the dressing room. My team always prayed before we went out to the ring. So after we prayed, instead of me walking down the hall, I ran to the ring. And before I ran to the ring, I told him, I said, "Look, we trained for 8 weeks for the fight. I ain't do nothing but box the whole camp. That was my whole strategy." I said, "You know what? In order for Ortega Gatti to win this fight tonight, he's gonna have to knock me out." So my man Rennie was like, "What you mean?" I said, "Man, I'm gonna knock this joke out, man. I'm gonna sit right in the center ring and knock him out." He was like, "Ivan." He was like, "I know you got a big heart, and your heart is big and everything." He was like, "But don't do that." And I turned around and ran out to the ring. I didn't think I got no attention. So that's why that first round was probably one of the best rounds probably ever in my career. Because at the time, like I said, at that time of that first round and going into that fight, me and Gary, we was in training camp for a lot of times. We never boxed each other, but we was in camp a lot, and we grew a great relationship. But once you get in the ring, you gotta put your friendship aside, and it's all business. My thing was, he was going to knock me out in order to win that fight, but I didn't expect that fight to be that thrilling the way it was. But I was in great shape. I probably was in the best shape of my career. Um, the only way Gaddy was going to win that fight was he got to kill him.
Scott, feel free to chime in here.
Well, I thought it was interesting in the first round, of course, in this fight that Ivan came out so strong. And now I know why. I mean, after he said he ran to the ring, it looked like he got a couple rounds out of the way on the way to the ring. He was warmed up. He was sharp,
Yeah.
very sharp, using the jab, using the left hook, even threw the uppercut in there. He was hitting him from a lot of angles, man. And he was really moving him. But he had that jab popping. Ivan looked really sharp, really sharp.
And I also think that was probably, see, one thing when I was coming up through my career, I never really watched no fight tapes of like when my guys that I was going to fight. I never really looked at the tapes. My dad and my trainer, Odell Casse, and then later on, Bowie Fisher, they always watched the tape of the fight. They came back to the gym and they told me exactly what it was I needed to do. But for some reason, this Gaddy fight, it was like for me, even though it was still early in my career, I had 2 losses and I was willing to fight anybody. But for some reason, that Gaddy fight was like that fight that I needed to get over that hump in professional boxing for the world to really know what Ivan Robinson could really do. Because everybody knew who I was. I had such a spectacular amateur career, and thank you to Oscar De La Hoya because them fights with him really crippled me to being a top notch amateur, and I beat a lot of guys in the amateur. But going into the pros, I needed somebody really to beat because really the only person I had on my record at that time was Philip Holiday, and I did, and a lot of other people thought that I beat Philip Holiday. I didn't get that win, so I needed another fight. And one thing I can say about main events at the time, which they was a big promotional company, their matchmaker Carl Moretti, who's top ranked matchmaker right now, he's an excellent matchmaker. He made this fight. He knew that this was going to be a real big fight for me, and I really think in his heart, he knew that I could beat Arturo Gatti, but I guess he would have to do what his boss told him to do. So they made the fight, and I was willing to fight Gatti, and that was a fight that people gonna talk about forever. I'm glad I was part of it. I'm sorry that Arturo ain't here. We became great friends.
You know, the incredible thing about this fight too is look how good shape both of them are in. It's incredible to see. And ain't no hugging and holding and boring. None of that. It's all old school defense, good combination, good counter punching. Everything you're seeing in this fight is like professional at the highest level. You know, you got guys who go into fights and they hold, they strategically try to beat a guy to get past a win or whatever to get some money. These guys are fighting like like it's the last fight ever, and that's what you can appreciate out of this fight and seeing the professionalism and the no holding, man. I mean, we see so much of that. None of that. This two this is two grown men throwing down and no you know no strategy and holding and stalling and trying to catch a breath. They're straight up in shape, bringing it.
Ivan, maybe talk to me about like the ability to absorb punishment. I mean, I watch a lot of MMA, and it seems like guys don't really have the ability to
Well,
absorb punishment on the same level. What made you able to absorb all these shots for so
I,
long?
I took I mean, I don't know. I think I just took a different page out of the sport of boxing and just did everything differently. I had a guy named Bill who was my conditioning coach. Man, he was terrible when it came to working with me on my abs and everything. I mean, like I said, this fight was probably one of my best fights throughout my career, and I've fought some great fights. But this was that pivotal fight, just like a basketball team. Sometimes they play a team that they know that they not supposed to win. They supposed to lose, and they just play their best game to the point where they may beat the team by one or beat the team by 4 or last minute shot. This fight was that fight, and I like I tell everybody, I think Arturo because Arturo was the type of guy he didn't care. Arturo will fight your mom if your mom says something wrong to him. You know what I'm saying? That's just the type of guy Arturo was.
Yeah.
And he never took a second breath. He never had to think about it. He never said anything derogatory to me about do anything to me except for that he was going to knock me out and I couldn't punch. That was about the only thing Arturo Gatti ever said to me. So I could never disrespect him or never say anything bad about him. Only thing I could say was that this man gave me the opportunity, to be put on a pedestal that he was already on. I mean, by the time I fought Arturo Gatti, he was probably the hottest fighter in the world. And I'm saying, even though he had just did he just? I think he just lost. Yeah, he had just lost to Angel Man Freddy before this. So I mean, for him to come back and win and then fight me, it would just show the heart that this young guy had.
Yeah, you can see in this fight, man. This fight is every bit as much as what we've seen with any Arturo Gatti fight or Ivan Round. This is a beautiful fight. You know, this fight. The crazy thing about the fight game is if you watch fights like this fight's worth today 50 million a piece. You know what I mean?
Well,
And it
yeah,
is. It's crazy. But you know what? How many fights have we seen that were 50 million a piece and you didn't see this? A
right.
bunch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's what I mean by that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just because there's a lot of hype around a fight and stuff doesn't mean you're going to get your money's worth as a boxing fan or anything else. But this right here, you got your money's worth, man. I mean, and that's what's crazy about the fight game, about how people get paid, you know. And sometimes it's a stinker deal. This ain't no stinker deal here. This is straight up. Everybody's getting their money's worth and then some. That's
I
old
appreciate
school,
that
man.
thing.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, they're not going to pay that kind of money. I agree. But if you were building two guys up and people want to see what real boxing is and build great fan base, where I feel like we're losing it a little bit, this is what you got to get it back to.
That's gonna be kind of hard.
Yeah.
Plus, I think, you know, the HBO era where they had, you know, this big stable of all kind of guys from different weights, you know, it's just not like that anymore.
Seth
Yeah,
Abrams did a masterful job with it. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, definitely. And then the most important thing about it is that me as being a fighter, I was willing to be put on that pedestal. In order for me to be put on that pedestal, I had to come and perform at my best. And I guess that was my best. I came ready that night.
Here you see him using it to elude Gatti, hit him with combinations.
Yeah.
Two-punch combination followed by a three-punch combination.
And HBO definitely gave a lot of fighters, besides not only me, but they gave a lot of fighters opportunities to show show what they could do and what they couldn't do. And the fans, like you said, the fans loved it. We gave the fans what they wanted.
It's unfortunate. Whenever I heard that HBO was going to stop here a few years ago, that really concerned me for boxing.
Yeah, definitely did.
Yeah, I didn't really see a lot of people going to be able to pull off as good a job as what they did.
Oh. And also got to think about the era with USA Network with Sean.
Sean. Oh yeah, that's the boy out of Oklahoma City. Yeah. Yeah. The USA Network and ESPN going out. Yeah, the Tuesday night fights. Yeah, the HBO Boxing After Dark, which I think that's what this was. This particular fight. Yeah, it's.
And that's kind of what Jim Lampley had said at the end of the first round. You know how you found the right address tonight. That's what I'm saying. You could come on and watch HBO Boxing After Dark, and you know you might catch something like this. You know, not all the time, but you know.
Well, I think it was a stepping stone to the premier. You know, the big premier fights too. You know, and you were right there, and you really want to put on a good showing. Of course, what these guys did this night.
Like I said, it was just an honor for me to be on that stage, and I got that stage, and I always wanted to be on that stage. So I knew once I got on that stage, I had to perform. It wasn't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I had to do it. And the thing about it, gave me enough time. I got enough time to be right, go out there and just perform to the best that I knew how.
You know, and back to my point about, you know, a $50 million fight, you got guys, and I take nothing away from guys. If they can make money, I'm certainly not taking away from, you know, YouTubers. If you can make money at it and the public's going to pay for it, okay. But let's be real. I'm not taking anything away, and I'm not going to mention any names. This guy's making $50 million who aren't even anywhere close to this level or this type of excitement or this type of boxing skill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my point.
For sure.
Yeah, that's why guys like me, I get mad about it. But I mean, all I can do is get mad. Ain't nothing I can do about it.
Right.
Yeah.
All I can do.
Well, I mean, it's got to be hard for a lot of fighters, even, MMA too. These guys weren't making money, the early pioneers, you know.
Yeah.
Now
I'm
guys
not.
are.
Yeah, I'm not sure during this era, of HBO with Roy and Ivan, all these guys coming up and Floyd coming up. I don't think people knew what they. I don't know that even the boxing fans knew that we were kind of at an apex boxing, man, there for a bit. It was unbelievable, Manny,
Oh,
all of them,
yeah.
man. It was unbelievable. From
True.
95 to 2012, man, or 98 to 2012. It's crazy, man. It
Yeah,
was
And
definitely.
crazy.
from all weights, too. It wasn't just.
All
Yeah.
weights.
They had up and
And
down.
and you got to give that to HBO and even Showtime, but HBO, man, they really put on the premier show, man.
True.
Take a look at the knockdown.
Yeah.
There you can see it hit Robinson. The punch
What are you thinking during this time, Ivan? I mean, I know the fight's pretty mad and kind of you're both just bombing on each other nonstop. I mean, what were you thinking, like in between rounds?
You know what? It's crazy because each time I get people to bring me back to the fight and talk about the fight, it's always like you sometimes you're going on with an announcer, or you're going on with a sports writer or whatever commentator, and you want to make sure that you say the right thing. You want to make sure it be the right things. I mean, and you don't want to say too many different things because then you guys will be thinking like, well, man, he all punchy. He don't know nothing about the fight. But, you just asked me that. I'm sitting here now thinking about this fight with me and Carl. And it went so fast and it was just so electrifying, man. It's crazy. Tell you the truth, to be honest, I don't even know if I was winning the fight. I just know I was in there beating this guy up. That's all. I didn't know if I was winning the fight or not. You know what I'm saying? Because I know I mean, I'm from Philly, right down the street. He from uh
Jersey,
he from
Jersey.
Jersey,
Yep.
and he right from up the street. I'm like, yo, we both from the same city, except for really, I get a lot of love in Atlantic City because I've been down there so much at the time. I had another house down there, and I was interjecting with all the fighters that was coming up, and stuff like that. So I'm sitting there saying, like, man, what's really going to happen in this? But honestly, I think I was just such in a zone. It didn't matter to me. I just felt as though I was beating the guy up no matter what. But I tell you, even though I won the fight and the fight went basically the way I wanted it to go, even though I see they were trying to rob me, and I didn't even think about it at the time. But I think that fight right there was probably one of the most the
Oh,
most punishing fights for me ever.
Ivan just threw a left hook to the body, back up with a left hook to the head, then an overhand right, man. Woo. I know Gotti felt that. Oh.
Well, like I said, getting ready for this Gaddy fight. This was the first time I ever really watched an opponent fight, and I watched him when he fought Rafael Ruelas, and he knocked Ruelas out.
Hmm.
I didn't even want to fight no more. I was like, man, I won't fight this guy. That's crazy. I like this man is a monster, but I got that feeling in me. It didn't matter. I wanted to go in there and just see how good he can punch. But when he landed that first left hook, I really knew I was in a fight.
Good right hand by Gotti, good left hand by
You
Robinson.
both are landing a lot of punches in this fight.
Yeah, yes, we are.
But, I mean, you know what I mean? And countering a lot. And the beautiful thing is, man, that's old school. I mean, growing up watching old boxing from the 40s, 50s, 60s, I mean, those guys didn't hold. They didn't do that. That's what these two men are doing. They're real men. There's like an agreement. Hey, we ain't holding and hugging and doing none of that stuff you see.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just a different thing.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game, man.
But yeah, like you were saying, it's got to be hard to know how much you've hit him or he's hit you. You're just kind of just continuing.
Yeah, you're trying to win the fight. I knew that I wasn't a big puncher, so I mean, I wasn't really in that. I wasn't really too much worried necessarily about hurting him because I knew I could hurt him. It was just putting him away. I knew I could put him away if I got a good shot and if I just stayed on top of him. But at the end of the day, it was just about beating him. That's all. I just wanted to beat him and go home. That was it. All the aftermath I got after the fight, man, that was something extra. I didn't even expect all that.
Seems to be held in ER, the emergency room.
He's an old school guy's fight. That's what it is. I mean, it's beautiful, man.
And you were saying you didn't want to fight him. You ended up fighting him twice.
Well, it was just like Coach said. Back then, we was making money, and I know Gaddy was on top of the total post looking down on us, but I know he was making millions at the time. You know what I'm saying? But my thing was, for me, it was just I just had a crazy way about me. I mean, of course, I wanted the money. Of course, I love the money. But it wasn't about the money. It was about me exploiting my talent, showing people my talent, and I love the box. That's what I love to do. So really, at the end of the day, my thing was beat up Pro Daddy and get Shane Mosley. That was my whole thing. Beat Gaddy, get Shane Mosley. But I guess Gaddy is a warrior. He don't lose the guys without getting a rematch. They must have bugged me for about 48 hours to make this fight again.
I think you challenged Shane after the second fight, or was it the fight against?
No, I challenged Shane after the second fight.
Yeah,
I challenged Shane. I challenged Mayweather. I challenged a lot of people. It just didn't matter to me. I didn't care about, back then, of course, it was different. L, of course, you didn't want L's. But if you went out there and you fought great fights, people didn't look at your L's like, oh man, this nigga need to retire, or he need to, throw his socks in the trash and hang his shoes up. They didn't look at it like that. Nowadays, Joker get a loss, they ready to shoot him.
That's funny. It reminds me of like Tony Holden, a boxing promoter. He would say, sometimes you can look ugly winning, man, and if you can lose sometimes, still they want you back on the network and pay you more.
Right.
They definitely want these two back.
Yeah,
right? You had him hurt bad here.
I was throwing down right here, man.
That's the first hug I think I've seen.
Yeah.
I was trying to get rid of him, but you know what? I guess in real cautious situations, dangerous situations, things come out of you because when you hurt Gaddy, and I said it before we fought. You hurt Gaddy. You're not supposed to stand there and see. He hurt me right there with that shot.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to take him out, and I did the wrong thing that I shouldn't have did. That I said I wasn't going to do. You get Gaddy hurt, that's when he dangerous. It was kind of funny because I had hurt him early in that fight. I mean, that round, and the Joker held me like he wanted to make love to me.
Yeah.
No, this ain't Gaddy, is it? But I guess he was just he needed just that little bit of gas or a little bit of separation to land that right hand. That left hook and caught me.
Got credit with the referee here. I mean, he let you guys fight. He might have been able to stop that fight when you were, when you had him hurt there, maybe even, but he didn't.
I'm glad he didn't either.
Yeah, he didn't stop it on you either. I mean, both of you guys were hurt. A lot of times you see the referee run in.
Yeah.
He knew this was a good fight. He was going to let it continue.
Right.
Which you don't always see.
No, I think that comes right along with the evolution of where HBO was with everything. I mean, and the promoters that were involved with them, everything, right down to the referees. I mean, everything was, they put together way better cards, everything now than what you see today. I miss HBO, I guess. I miss these kind of fights right here.
You're not kidding. You and I are the same age pretty much. And you could always get something good on a Saturday night.
You always do that. And they're trying to put so many fights together and everything. I think they even trying to put fights on Sundays now.
Yeah, it's like, why go out when you got something good on,
I always liked it when ESPN had a nice card on Friday night fights, and then you catch another good one on Saturday, with HBO. Yeah.
Now they got fights together on different channels, and
Yeah.
it's just,
Oh man, that's a big right hand. There's a good combination.
that was the
Ivan,
whole
kind of
point
talk
of
about.
the
I
fight.
know Scott wasn't on, when we did our first talk, but kind of talk about how you developed this style where you could punch as much as you were.
You know what? It's crazy because now that I train fighters, and I feel good that I have sometimes my fighters come in the gym and they say, "Coach," because I have guys that I train that never ever seen me fight, and I'm not the type of coach that be like, "Oh man, yeah, you know what I did." I'm not in. I could be with you for 3 years and you would never know I fought because I don't talk about it. But to make the story short, my fighters
That's the way
ask me,
Mark
"Oh,
Breland.
Coach, how was you just able to throw an 8 punch combination and take a quick breathe and come right back and throw another eight?" I just trained myself like that. I don't know. I guess my dad trained me like that, and just I've been throwing punches like that since I was probably about 8 or 9, and it just stuck with me.
But did you run a lot to have the stamina, or was it just the training? The
No, my
sparring and
dad.
the.
No, my dad ran me a lot. That's one thing he didn't do a lot of. He didn't spar me a lot. And when
Oh,
I did spar, I sparred enough times to, I guess, get ready for my fights or whatever and stuff like that. Like when I did my first 10 rounder for my first 10 rounder fight, you know how some fighters they might just say they in a 7 week camp, 8 week camp. They might do 10 rounds in camp like 4 or 5 times. My dad made me do a 10 round fight, a 10 round session of sparring once. That was it. Other than that, I
Mhm.
might have did six, I might have did eight. I might have did eight like 2 times out of the 8 week camp. Basically, it was six, and my 6 and 8 rounds didn't come like me just sparring. My 8 rounds really came forward boxing. Then I did four on a heavy bag. Or back
Yeah.
then really mitts. Ain't nobody holding mitts like that.
Right. Right. Hey, Ivan, how many rounds did you spar for this fight?
For the Gaddy fight, um, to be honest with you,
20,
I couldn't say. I might
30?
have sparred. I might have sparred. I'm gonna say about 25, 30 because I
Yeah, I was
remember
gonna say.
I had Mike Melvin and Anthony Thompson in camp with me, and I think that 2 times out of the whole 6 week camp, I did 10 rounds with both of them, but I did 5 rounds, 5 with one and 5 with the other. So, but I didn't really do a lot of sparring like that. And my sparring wasn't a lot of back and forth like the fight. My sparring was like a lot of eye coordination, me getting out the way because I was pretty much of a boxer. I didn't really too much want to bang with nobody. My dad said I start wanting to bang with guys. I think like after my fourth or fifth fight, when I start finding out I can punch a little bit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. You have different people. Tyson said he'd spar every day, which I thought was kind of crazy. But then you got people who De La Hoya spar like 25, 30 rounds. That's about it. Everybody has a
Yeah,
different strategy the way they work. Of course, you don't want to leave the fight in the gym either. And there's a fine line
exactly.
on how much conditioning and how much, I always try to get my fighters to change their diet and eat a better diet because I felt like your cardio was improved vastly with good eating habits. And there's other things you can do besides being in the gym, to improve your cardiovascular rather than just the attrition, and for certainly not just being in there sparring every day and getting hit in the head, because that
Right,
probably causes more damage than anything.
exactly.
But I think that, Bill, Quick Tillis is a good friend of mine. He talked about how when he changed his diet to more a plant based and fish and stuff, it really helped his conditioning coming into a fight. And obviously the cardio and different things you can do, but there's a fine line on peaking somebody for a fight that a lot of people don't
Exactly.
understand. You can't just put, the pedal to the metal the whole camp. You got to ebb and flow. You got to rest them too. You got to know when to pick them up. It's like Mr. Goodall used to say, he'd say, I'm like the goat in a pen with the racehorse. I know how to settle them down, bring them back down, and know when to turn it on and know when to turn it. It's like a volume switch,
Right.
You got to be ready to fight, And then I hear, different fighters too, the last week and a half, nothing, just make weight, let their body rest and heal. So everybody's got kind of a different strategy. I was just interested in how many rounds you probably spar for, a fight like this, but I figured it was 25, 30.
Yeah, but my 25 or 30, I know because people know that if here in Philly, and it happens all the time, and I'm keeping my fighters away from it because I experienced it. But our fights ain't our fights outside in other arenas. Our fights are inside the gym. You know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
getting into ego gym wars and stuff. That's dumb. Yeah,
exactly. It's to the point now the trainers get into it.
it's a lot of people who do it too, but mainly it just deals with ego, and that's why you got to keep everything kind of in check with your fighter. It's like they got to check with the trainer. They need to check with you, right?
Exactly.
No, yeah, we're not doing that.
Ivan, looking back on this, now that you train guys, did this change the way you approach anything or no?
Well, like Coach said, you have to train your fighters differently. Each one, like for instance, I have three pro fighters. I only really train two of them. My third one is a heavyweight. My dad trains him, so I really don't do nothing but watch over him. But my other two are as a featherweight and a middleweight. So I got to train both of them differently. But I do let them work a lot when it comes to the running, the exercise, and cardio. I try not to let them spar at all because it only really takes one shot for a fighter to hit another fighter and hit him somewhere wrong and hurt him. So I try to keep them out of that range right there where they're sparring each other. And if they are sparring each other, they're only doing contact work where I'm there watching them deliver each shot.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know, people have some people have changed how they do things over the years, and I was just wondering if that's something that you had thought about, since you've had some wars like this.
Well, with me having this type of war with Gatti, I tell all my fighters, do not get in a war like this. You don't want to be in a war. No. It's telling. You know what I'm saying? And you don't really know how telling it is until later. Later on. I mean, of course, when you fight it, you can absorb it, the body absorb it, you able to come back, all that type of stuff. But it's later on, maybe a couple years. It could even be a couple fights later. You know what I'm saying? So you have to really watch what you do, how you do it, train accordingly, and just make sure that your body was in the right shape for every fight, not just one fight, every fight.
Were you feeling the punishment during the fight at all?
Yeah, I mean, like I said to you before we went on air, there was a couple shots in here that I got hit with by Gaddy. And by that time I already done had I was 25-2. Yeah, 25-2. Um, I hadn't been in no big fight. Well, I was in a fight with Philip Holiday. Philip Holiday didn't hit nowhere as hard as Gary. And of course I had other fights before that, but the Gary fight was the really telling fight that where later on, certain things, came to notice that
Jeez.
happened by me being in the Gaddy fight. You know what I'm
Jeez.
saying? Stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, at this time right there, I really felt bad for him, but I wanted to get him out of there. I really wanted to end it. But hey, man, what I hate about me at this time in this fight in my career was that I wasn't a puncher because I know I could have got rid of him, but I didn't. But hey, I still had my wits. I still had my mobility to get out the way, do certain
Yep.
things, and create certain things in that fight. And you know, at the end of the day, I give all praise to God, and I definitely give praise to my dad because my dad, even though I'm older at that time of the fight, and my dad, you know, installed all this in me, man. I mean, for me to be the type of fighter I was, and for me to come out the way I came, my dad put 100% into me, and I was able to go out there and do what people wanted to see me do.
So you're going in the final round here. I mean, what were they telling you? And
Well, I mean, you know, in big fights like this, and this was really one of the biggest fights, like I said, since the Philip Holiday. This was another big fight, and we hadn't really been in no big fights like that. But I don't know, for some reason, it seemed like I've been there before. But if you can hear my my head trainer with that cafe was telling me that we were behind and we needed this fight. And Bowie Fisher, who was my second assistant, who trained Bernard Hopkins, was telling me to continue to do what I did. You know what I'm saying? His main thing was he wanted me to keep throwing that uppercut on Gaddy. See, like going back and then turn him off. Because he said Gaddy was very successful for it. And my third man, Leon Taz, man, he's a great guy. He was a
He
trainer
is a
too.
good dude. He's the
Straight
nicest guy.
yeah. So
He's a cool guy. He's at the
I had a
UFC.
whole lot of I had a whole lot of experience in that corner, you know. So they
Lot.
just told me to continue to doing what I do and stay sharp and stay open and aware at all times. But of course that big left foot guy he caught me with knocked me out into the boardwalk. I was out on the boardwalk at that time. Just to hit me with that left hook, because that's where I swear I was at. I was out on the boardwalk.
I
But
think Bowie probably saw. I saw in the first round you caught him with a good uppercut too. You were
yeah,
catching with a left hook, but I saw you catch him with a power uppercut with the right hand too, right off the bat, a
right.
few times. And I think Bowie probably saw it, you know, and he
Uh-huh.
saw that he was susceptible to it too. The way he
Yeah.
was staying open down the middle.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but yeah, you had a hell of a corner, man. That's a world class
Yes,
Hall
yeah.
of Fame corner there with Bowie Fisher and Leon Tab. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what I tell a lot of sports writers nowadays. See, that was the uppercut I put in there right there.
yeah,
That's what I tell all the sports writers, and I talk to the fighters about it. I said, yeah, y'all fighting the fight. I understand you guys fighting the fight, and it's up to y'all to do the things that y'all need to do to win. But I said at the same time, your corner has to get some credit for it because your corner see things that you don't see.
right,
And, and
yeah,
I don't think that's what enough people realize when it comes to this boxing. Boxing ain't just, you know, even though it's a lonely man's sport at times, because we in it by ourselves at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, too, here come the hook right here. At the end of the day, you know, our corners is one big help. Here come right
yeah.
here. Boom.
yeah,
Right, right there. A good shot. He hit me with a real good shot.
Would he catch you right on the end of that punch?
yeah,
He caught me on the top of the temple.
Okay, it was
Right
on the
on.
top.
yeah.
Yep.
I've probably watched it 100 times.
And you know
Yeah.
what the crazy thing is? Look at Ivan standing there still trying to fight. You know, he could tie him up, he could do whatever, you know what I mean? He's still
Ain't that
not
crazy?
tying him up, you know what I mean?
Ain't
That's
that
crazy.
crazy? Yeah. I need to go see somebody about that. 'Cause
And
I definitely was supposed to be holding on.
I think I
I'm
told you this
definitely supposed to
before,
be.
but I was in high school at the time
Look
of
at
this,
that.
but I went in the Navy. I was
Yeah.
on submarines, and I had these on VHS, and we would
Yeah.
watch them. We'd watch them underwater. We'd
Wow.
watch them down on the cruise mess. Guys would be going crazy. They had never seen this fight,
Wow.
because a lot of guys didn't watch HBO Boxing After Dark, and I had a lot of tapes. I would bring like several, and this was always one I would bring.
Oh,
And
thanks.
guys would watch it over and over. Guys would wake me up and ask for it, so they could
Wow.
put it on. Yeah, you'd be amazed
Like
how many people watch
like
it.
Coach was saying, like that, like right there. See, people don't know, right? I tell everybody that right there when I fell into Larry Hazard's chest. I was still hurt from that hook that
Yeah.
Gaddy hit me. I was still
Mm.
hurt. I was
You guys
still
put
hurt.
on a hell of a performance. That you know what I mean? You
You're
take
gonna
nothing
see
away
it
from
right
either
here,
guy. Yeah, right. He caught through a wild. Oh, it
like a
was right on
forehead
top of.
almost.
So, and then the crazy part is I had a nerve to try to put my hands up after I got hit. Look, after I
Well, I
get
think he
hit,
was in the. Oh,
boom,
you were in the
then I
process
put my
of throwing
hands
a
up.
left hook, and you got a little. Your right hand came down just a little bit, but he threw it high, which is kind of
Yeah,
weird. Yeah, right there.
yep.
Yeah, Tyson used to hit people on the forehead like that
Yeah,
on
yes,
top of their
yes,
head.
I did.
Yeah,
What can they say people like that too? Triple G.
yeah, yeah. Good way to break your hand, though.
Yes, yeah, definitely a great way to break your hand.
So
Yeah.
after fight, do you think you had won it, or?
Yeah, I thought I won it. I thought I did what I needed to do to win. And even though they read out the first score and the lady had me, I mean the guy Leahy had me losing by I couldn't even tell you. But that was crazy.
It was closer than that. It was close. Yeah.
Yeah, Harold Letterman gave it to you, but it was close. He only gave it to you by a point, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? In the fight, Ivan, to me, his punches were sharper and his combinations, especially early on and throughout the fight, a little bit sharper, you know. Of course, you got the one knockdown, but I felt like Ivan, you can make an argument for sure, I felt Ivan's punches were a little bit pinpoint, a little bit more pinpoint through a lot of places in the fight.
Judge
Oh,
Ed Leahy scores it.
This right here was crazy.
93 Gatti. Judge Melvina Lathan scores it. 98 93 Robinson. And Judge Steve Weisfeld scores it. 96 94 to the winner by split decision.
fight could have gone either way, yeah.
Well, Ivan landed more punches, and and I think,
Yeah.
it's hard to,
Yeah.
that's the one thing that people always, like,
Yeah.
some people want to score how hard it lands versus how many. It's
Right.
like everyone has their own flavor. Like Baskin Robbins. It's like some people like the hard, other people, if it's way more, it doesn't matter. So
Right.
everyone's kind of got their own flavor to it.
Exactly.
Because I mean, if you look at fight, Ivan landed way more punches. Gotti was trying to throw
We
his as
landed a
hard
lot
as he
more
could.
punches, but I
Yeah.
just felt like there were more
400 punches landed. Gotti was just trying to throw us as hard as he could. So the impact, yeah.
And going into that fight anyway, like I said, the only way Gaddy was going to win that fight, he had to knock me out. It was no way he could outbox me. That was no way.
400
He couldn't outpoint me, and he definitely didn't move his head.
Nope.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, a sensational fight, and
it was a great fight, man. That's what I miss about what you miss about boxing right there, man.
right. And Ivan, it's always great to talk to you about the fight. And I know one thing that I want to talk about is Ivan's looking for sponsorships for his fighters. That's something that I want to get out there, and something that definitely try to get out to people more in the future as well. Scott, you know about that too, like trying to find sponsorships for fighters that you're training. Ivan, talk a little bit about your gym and the fighters that you're training.
Well, right now I'm at a gym 365 at Fifth and Birch. It's a great gym. It's a 24-hour gym. I have, like I said, I got a heavyweight by the name of Dominique Mayfield, who's 4-1 now. Doing some good things. I got a couple amateurs. Got 2 female amateurs. So, just trying to keep them moving and keep them in the tournament. I'm kind of hurt by it. I'm hearing that 2028, we might not having boxing in the Olympics. I hope we do it is to be here in America in Los Angeles, and hopefully, I have two young ladies that can be looking forward to participating in that. I got 154-pounder Eric Page. I think he's 20. He's really good. And one thing I like about him that I've always liked coming up, I love southpaw. Purnell was one of the best ever that did it as southpaw now.
From either side of the plate.
Yeah, definitely good, but that was
Yeah.
just something special, something unique and different.
Let me ask you
Ivan
something.
did a
You
lot
ever
of
seen
training
anybody-
with Purnell, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never seen a guy stand square to somebody and be able to go left or right and make somebody miss so much as Purnell Whitaker.
Yeah.
Nobody. And I mean, they talk about the will of the wisp, all these. Nobody. I mean, he make everybody miss, and he can square up with you and still make you miss. Crazy.
Exactly. And I thought that at the time when I was coming up, I think I was about 14, 15 and 0, and they put me in camp with him. And first of all, I was nervous because I'm going to spar Purnell Whitaker. I mean, he's a world champion. I'm saying, this guy, and I was fast. I had fast hands and I could box well. But this guy sat right in front of me, and I couldn't hit him with one punch. And yeah, and I think, like I told my man about it, I'm not afraid to say it, but I think I went the whole round without even hitting Purnell. And he must have hit me about 30 times. Had I ain't laid one piece.
Like Sweepy. I don't know if we'll see anything like Sweepy again.
No, never.
No, I agree.
And if we do, they got to be a clone or something.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, I want to thank both of you for the time, Scott. It's always great to have you on with these boxing shows, and Ivan,
I'm honored, man, to be on the same show.
Yeah, it is. I feel the same way,
Incredible, man.
I appreciate that, Coach. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Maybe one day we'll run into each other.
For sure, man. For sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. I know, I'm friends with Fred Jenkins too. You probably know him from Philly.
Yeah, I know Fred real well. Yes,
yeah. He cracks me up, man. Fred and I was at a fight one time working a corner, and he cracked me up, man. He was he just always had something funny to say. But one of the funniest things I remember, of course, Fred was like, man, a fighter sometimes always going to look around for somebody to blame, and I'm always available.
No, you don't want to be. You try not to be available when the fighter's trying to blame you, man. That's not good.
I know.
That's not good.
He cracked me up, but Mr. Goodall, Tim Goodall out of Houston, he worked with a number of fighters too. That I knew back in the day. He was a good boxing trainer. He told me one time. He said we had this kid fighting in a fight. He said, I was trying to encourage the kid in the corner. He came back. I said, man, you're losing. I was trying to encourage him. I said, if you don't start fighting, man, I'm going to stop the fight. He said, the kid looked at me and said, that sounds like a good idea to me.
Wow.
Yeah. He said, oh, man. Yeah. Boxing, you meet a lot of funny people, a lot of comedians, a lot of good times, though, man.
Yeah.
Well,
guys,
bringing us together.
Yeah, like
sure,
Scott
man.
said, it's always an honor to talk to you. To have a chance to talk to people that I watch compete on HBO. It's kind of unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
I never envisioned that when I was watching these fights when I was in high school, and that I would.
I never thought it would be like this with me after me retiring, or even thought about it before I even got a chance to fight on it.
But for us, it's like these guys are like gods, watching this.
Yeah. Ivan, you in Philadelphia still?
Yes, sir.
You in Philly? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. Fred still got ABC down there?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's awesome, man. Cool. All right. Well, good deal, man. If I make it to Philadelphia, I'm gonna come by and see you, man.
Definitely. Welcome.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
yes, sir.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
And Ivan, before we go, maybe tell people how they could sponsor you if, you know, because this is something I want to hit on more in the future.
Basically you just go through my company, It's a Mighty Thing. Let me see. It's a mighty thing dot gmail. I mean, it's a mighty thing if at gmail.com. You know, just or even call me at 226-7501. And you know, write a letter to the board and letting them know what you want to do to help us out.
Yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
definitely. It's something that I want to help people out that are on the show and stuff.
Sure.
Well,
Yep.
guys, you know, it's great reliving this fight. You know, everyone who's getting to see it for the first time, I hope it meant as much to you as it did to us when we saw it, you know, and to see it again.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That
you
ain't
guys,
right,
I
Todd.
appreciate
That ain't right
it.
now. I gotta go to sleep and think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Hopefully it's a good thought, you know.
Yeah.
You brought a joy to a lot of people, you know, and I think
Yeah.
that's something you got to remember.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, be remembered forever for that. Years later, how many years later now? You know,
Yeah,
you still got people wanting to talk to you about it, you know, so it's
yes, sir.
stood the test of time. You know,
Yep.
and that's special.
Yeah, I just wonder what it would be like if Arturo was still around.
Yeah, yeah.
Wasn't that to talk to him? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
crazy.
sad, man.
Yeah, definitely. Real sad. Yep. You know, his son boxing, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, his son is in I think his son is in probably Canada, I think. But yeah, he boxing and he's doing really, really well.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have to check him out.
Hopefully we'll hear about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we will if he continues to do well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Definitely will. No rematches. My son don't box. My son's too old.
All right, guys. Well, it was great. And everyone watching this, we appreciate it. And until the next one.
Until next time.
Thanks,
Take care.
Yes, sir. All right, guys.